Yo guys, how's it going? Welcome back into Rover Sports. I wanted to talk tonight about the playoff picture in the NFC and kind of like what I expected could happen in the NFC. So first off, when we look at the NFC and the division of the NFC, we have to evaluate which coaches are going to be fired in the NFC. And I have a clear-cut favorite for the teams that I believe are going to bomb and fail. The coach that I am going to say is definitely going to get fired is Ron Rivera. The Panthers have been teetering on disaster for a long time. Their quarterback is not healthy. They're in a rebuilding mode. They got Brian Burns. They had a decent free agent haul. But Riverboat Ron now has to call the plays. He's not a good offensive coordinator. This team's going to be terrible. They play in a good division. The Panthers are going to be really, really bad this year. I look at the Seattle Seahawks, and the Seahawks are also teetering on disaster. Their dynasty is just about over. They made the playoffs last year only to lose in pathetic fashion to the Dallas Cowboys. Pete Carroll is he is the oldest coach in the NFL, and he's going to get fired and probably go back to USC. You look at Sean Payton. Could Sean Payton make a move? Possibly. Could Matt Patricia be fired by Detroit? I doubt it, because Detroit is pretty spineless in terms of making changes. They kept Jim Caldwell there a long time. They kept Jim Schwartz there a long time. And I'm just not sure, but Mike Zimmer's my second choice behind Ron Rivera. I look at the Vikings. If the Vikings do not make the playoffs, Mike Zimmer has been an overrated coach for a little while. He's had good defense, but other than that, he hasn't been that successful. He, once again, does not make that offense better. Everybody just wants to blame Kirk Cousins, but their offensive line hasn't really developed. And you look at the Packers and Chicago, both pretty good teams. So I look at Mike Zimmer as a huge possibility. Ron Rivera, Zimmer. If Zimmer does not make the playoffs, even if Zimmer loses in the first round of the playoffs, he's getting up there in age. He wants to go back to coordinating. I could certainly see a change where Stefanski is maybe promoted to the head guy. So those are the situations. In terms of teams that I think are going to take a leap, I like what the Giants did a lot. You know, of course, I'm a Giants fan. I told everybody that they weren't going to get their identity back until they traded Odell Beckham away. They now have a quarterback in waiting in Daniel Jones, so there's some stability there. There's also some pressure on Pat Shurmur and Eli Manning to win games early. They have an easy schedule. I haven't looked at Arizona's schedule, but they did come in last place in the whole NFL. They have a really good coach, and first-year coaches do well in the NFL. Matt Nagy did really well. Frank Reich did really well last year. Chip Kelly made the playoffs when he was a first-year coach. Doug Peterson was a second-year coach and won a Super Bowl championship. Sean McVay, in his first year, made the playoffs. It's not inconceivable that this new offense that Cliff Kingsbury is going to run, first of all, you're going to have a better defense than you did at Texas Tech. And second of all, Kyler Murray is going to be the rookie of the year at the quarterback position. He's going to be fantastic. He's like a Patrick Mahomes. He just has a great arm, very quick. He has a very quick delivery, Kyler Murray. It's a very pinpoint accurate arm. And the way that he throws the ball, his delivery is so quick. The way he gets through progressions, his intelligence is off the charts. And Arizona is going to be a real sleeper team in the NFC. The NFC North is almost impossible to predict, other than Detroit probably not factoring in. Green Bay is very hard to predict. I haven't minded their offseason. Mike Patton has done some pretty good things from the defensive coordinator spot. They get Za'Darius Smith from the Ravens. They add Rashawn Gary. They bring in Jay Stoneberger. Stoneberger has unbelievable potential. If I was in a fantasy dynasty league, I would look at Stoneberger as a possible, you should absolutely draft him in fantasy for the 8th or 9th round. He is a real sleeper. He played at community college for a long time, and then he played like a year at Texas A&M with Jimbo. So Stoneberger was a steal in the 3rd round. You have Rashawn Gary. You have a coach in Matt LaFleur that's a pretty good offensive mind, and of course you have the talent of Aaron Rodgers. The Bears proved everybody wrong last year. They add Riley Ridley. They do lose Amos. They do lose Vic Fangio. So will Chuck Pagano be decent as a defensive coordinator? That remains to be seen. How is Chuck Pagano going to do over there? But you look at Matt Nagy, he's a pretty good coach. And I look at the Chicago Bears, and the Bears this year in the NFC North, they're going to have to fend off the Packers and then the Vikings. The Vikings still have Kirk Cousins. You still have Thielen. You still have a Dalvin Cook that could be healthy. Xavier Rhodes on the defensive side. Your defense is getting older. That safety for a long time. Zendejo is gone. He's really old now. Mackenzie Alexander, Trey Waynes, Harrison Smith. It's been a pretty good secondary. And then linebacker-wise, the Minnesota Vikings are still, they still have Anthony Barr, but he's getting a little bit older. Ben Gideon. It's an all right defense, but where are you going to have that explosive pass rush? Where are you going to get pressure on the quarterback if Everson Griffin is not going to be playing at a high level? So, if Linval Joseph, you just have a team that's kind of teetering on the edge. Very win-now kind of a team. And I don't love any team out of the NFC North. I really don't. I have a terrible pulse. I don't know what's going to happen. I'll probably go with Chicago and Green Bay. You're probably going to find a wild card team. Maybe you'll find a wild card team because I do like Arizona. And that brings me to my number 1 seed in the NFC, and that's San Francisco. I'm ready for San Fran to take that leap. You have Quan. You have a great defense now. You look at Quan, Fred, Warner, and those are good linebackers. I think I'm missing a linebacker that is a really D Ford. That now you have Bosa, D Ford, DeForest Buckner. This is a really good defense. This is a good defense. Okay, you have Sherman. I mentioned the Fred Warner. They didn't improve their secondary that much. Really, they drafted a lot last year. But you have Jimmy Garoppolo, George Kittle. Tevin Coleman was a good addition. You now have Debo and Jalen Hurd. And I think this team's ready to go. I think this team's ready to pop. I think this defense is ready to be really, really good. It's going to come down to the secondary, getting pressure on the quarterback. But Kyle Shanahan's proven that he could take a team to a Super Bowl, and he's proven that he could be a couple plays away from winning a Super Bowl. And I love San Francisco. I love Garoppolo. Probably my favorite quarterback in the NFL right now. If I had to pick one, is Jimmy G, followed by Patrick Mahomes. I'm that high on Garoppolo. His release is lightning fast. He has the perfect demeanor to play quarterback. He has a great coach around him, a great group of receivers. I think the 49ers are ready to go. I think that they've built this thing properly. And as long as Garoppolo stays healthy, I think that year 3 is the time for the 49ers to grab a hold of this NFC and bring this thing home. Then you have the Dallas Cowboys. I look at the Cowboys this year. I'm stoked about their offseason. You bring back Tank Lawrence. You bring Dak back. Jason Witten coming back for morale purposes. Chris Richard, the whole coaching staff is back. You have Connor McGovern, great pick out of Penn State, to kind of reestablish that hole which was at the guard position for the Cowboys. Frederick is coming back. Byron Jones. You add George Iloka from the Bengals. That's signing of Iloka and Witten. The Cowboys came to the second round of the playoffs last year. Their defense with Smith, Van Der Esch, Tank Lawrence. You now add Hill in the middle of that defense out of UCF. This defense is absolutely going to be fantastic. I really like Prescott a lot. I love the signing of Randall Cobb. This Cowboys team is going to be awesome. I have them at like 12-4, and I have them also getting the bye. So I have the 49ers, I have the Cowboys, and then the NFC South. We can rule out the Bucs. I'm not ready to make a leap on them. I made a leap on them last year. That was stupid. The Panthers, I told you, are a dumpster fire, not going to do anything. The Saints are a team that's ready to that bubble's ready to burst. They're a win-now team that's teetering downhill with Sean Payton and Drew Brees getting up there in age. The Saints are a team that's ready to hit the precipice and ready to get overtaken by the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons have a lot of talent, got a lot of injuries last year. Their defensive line is still not that great in terms of stopping the run and everything. They need to stay healthy on the defensive side of the football. The more you think about the NFC South, the more you don't like it because you can pick holes in the Falcons and the Saints. The Saints have pretty good defensive players. They have okay defense. Drew Brees, how many times are they going to, fight to the mountain? How many times are they going to go up to that mountain only to lose to the Vikings on that play, only to lose to that officiated call in the Rams game? How many times are they going to make the climb and be awesome in the regular season? How many times are they going to be that resilient? And you look at Atlanta, you look at their offensive line now with Mack, with Matthews, with the two kids that they drafted, McGarry and Chris Lindstrom, Devontae Freeman, Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, Mohamed Sanu, Austin Hooper. This is a very dynamic receiving group, and this is a great offensive staff. You now add Dirk Cutter. Quinn takes over calling the plays. The more I think about it, I'm ready to pick Atlanta out of the South. I'm ready to pick Atlanta out of the South. I'm ready to put Arizona in the playoffs and the Giants in the playoffs. So, I'm going to stick to the 6. And I have to think about and then the NFC North. Boy, in the NFC North, I'm going to stick with the chalk, and it's either going to be the Packers or the Bears, and I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears, I think, in the North, and I'm going to maybe go with Atlanta. So I have my top 2 seeds. It's the Cowboys and the 49ers. Then we have the Bears and the Falcons, and I have to figure out where I'm going to slate the Chicago Bears. I'll have Zimmer missing the playoffs and getting fired. It's competitive. And then I have the Giants getting in, and I also have the Arizona Cardinals getting in. The Rams and the Saints, I think that they're going to hit that precipice because you look at these teams. Todd Gurley's health is uncertain. The Rams always get me every single year. I've been predicting a downfall that's been non-existent. So the Rams are probably going to have a great year, and the Saints are probably going to be really good again. But when you do predictions, it's sometimes good to think about the future and not just go chalk. But at the same time, you don't want to be unrealistic. So I have the 49ers and the Cowboys really shaping out this NFC. I have Atlanta really surging. I have Arizona and the Giants both being good this year. And then I'm going to take Chicago out of the North, and that division's going to beat each other up. So Chicago will be my 4th seed, and Atlanta will be the 3rd seed in the playoffs, because I still think Quinn is a good coach. Quinn's a little bit on the hot seat. A lot of firings going on in Atlanta. This is a big year for Matt Ryan. This is a big-time year, and it's a big year for Dirk Cutter and Atlanta. So, and Rick Spielman. Now for Rick Spielman and Thomas Dimitrov, rather. So that's how I look at the NFC, and that's how I look at the playoffs right now.